Welcome to Watershed Solutions Network's periodic interviews with interesting people. Today's interview is with Edmund Hung and Bill Leonard. Edmund owns the Kowana Valley Lodge, a private ranch where we held the Bull Creek Forest Gathering. Bill is a Southern Sierra Miwuk Elder and our liaison with the tribe for the Forest Gathering. This interview took place at the Kowana Valley Lodge in January 2025. Edmund and Bill shared their backgrounds and what they are learning together as they navigate their relationship and imagine a shared future. Please enjoy the interview. Do you just want to go ahead and start with, how did you come to be here?
I got lost. Well, actually being right in this spot wasn't until, we were planning for the gathering. Because it's always private property everywhere. So I hadn't been right here until we were looking at the gathering, but I have been all around here, the Anderson Valley, Anderson Flat, go upstream on Bull Creek, together and see what's there. And then to north of it, the place of Oden, it's the place of the first people in the stories. It's right within 3 miles probably. And so I got there and up through the Forest Service land with, years ago we came over with the archaeologist from the Forest Service here. And he came to one of our council meetings. That's been 20 something years ago, I guess, but he was all excited, and he ended up getting all of us excited to come over and see. So we loaded up, and that's how we got over here. Yeah, we went to the cave, we went up to the few other places, looked around, did some work with the Forest Service to get them to try to burn the meadows to get rid of the star thistle. And it was working until they had a moratorium on burning, on fires. So now it's all back. Star thistle has taken over. This is one of the few places that doesn't have star thistle. Star thistle is everywhere. Just got to get the Forest Service to take care of it. Got to throw that one in there.
And so, Bill, how did it feel when that first time we came to visit? Do you remember that?
Well, it was exciting to be here, just to see the abundance and variety of plants that are here. With the water was still running, and it was just a beautiful place to be.
So, Edmund, how did you come to be here?
Well, it was really, really like a late night. First year of the stuck at home pandemic. I was just thinking how stupid the whole system was, that we're just kind of, we're in America, but we're still, we can't buy toilet paper. There's meat shortages, egg shortages. Can't go outside. And it was just a place that, just kind of pushed forward my plans. I just wanted a place to, be away from the city, be away from a lot of the BS, and somewhere where my family could just be outside and just be in nature and just get away from, everything essentially. So we stumbled across the place online, and we came up, a few weeks later to take a look at it, and it was just beautiful. It's so out there, so remote, so quiet. You don't hear anything.
Except for the dogs crying.
Some city dogs.
There's no city lights.
Yeah.
All the stars are out. Um, and also during that time, I got to studying permaculture, just some about regenerative agriculture, and then kind of piece together how this would fit well into that. This was ravaged during the gold rush and industrial gold rush, gold mining 100 years after the initial one. It seemed it's very beautiful, but there's definitely areas where there's clear signs of disturbance, and perhaps we can use this as a platform to just try out some of those techniques or different methods to help the land kind of heal itself. But little did I know, there's after getting into this, there's a lot more, there's a lot more that I've gotten, out of it than just that. Learned about the Chinese history in the area after the fact, even in Coulterville town during the gold rush, out in the Yosemite region, and it wasn't just railroads and that's it. There's a lot of settlement in the areas, some influence, and all that, and then fortunate to have Debbie and her team come reach out, find us, and we were able to connect us to Uncle Bill and Southern Sierra Miwuk. And that relationship is just starting, but I can sit around with Uncle Bill for a couple hours.
We already been doing that for a couple hours today.
Joke around, tell some stories, just hang out and just chat. And it's not just about business, right? Or about projects or specific things. We just get to know each other, just hanging out, sharing some stories. So there's a lot I want to do here, in terms of projects and this and that, family related, permaculture related, maybe educational related for the kids, but it's all getting started. It's pretty much lots of potential for sure, but it's really still in that learning the land, learning the history phase, to have not yet done anything more permanent or concrete yet, but it's there, and it's it will not be without the influence of all the different groups and people that we've met, and all the learning that I've already done and still have yet to do. So it's fun, it's exciting, and it's led me to a lot of different relationships that would not have had the chance to have otherwise. And that in itself is already super neat.
So Edmund, you said learning the land. What does that mean to both of you?
To what?
Learning the land. What does that mean to both of you?
Learning the land? Well, I would say getting to know, who's here, what kind of plants, what, you know, I've only seen a small area of it so far, but the abundance and the variety of plants that are right here on the creek is amazing in itself, and it's always trying to find a way to enhance that, make it better, uh, just to help it out. I think sometimes, one of my things is there's a lot of like berry vines and things that don't necessarily belong here, to get those things out and then see what's underneath all of that. Give it an opportunity to uh, for the earth to bring forward whatever she wants. Not to predetermine everything.
None of those rows, huh?
Well, this is kind of the way funding is right now. Is you got to run back there and plant as soon as you get it cleared out, and it doesn't make much sense to me. You need to clear it out and then see what grows, for my thinking anyway. And but I understand when the funding says plant, you plant if you want to do the rest of it. And so for me, that would be something to work on, making changes in that. You know, it's like we haven't done anything in, haven't done much to protect the earth in the last couple 100 years. So now we want to do it all in 1 year, 2 years, or something. And we set some lofty goals that some will work, some won't. And, but if we do some clearing, allow you know, um, the earth to dictate what she wants to do. That's a good way to go about it, far as I'm concerned. And I just enjoy being out here on the land. I'm not. I'm at a point in my life that I avoid a lot of hard work. you know, but I like to be part of things and share ideas, share stories. Have an understanding of the land and the surrounding area also, because it's all connected that way. And um, we need the federal government to step up and do some serious thinking about these forests and everything here.
Do you really want the federal government to do that thinking, or would it make more sense to have the local folks do the thinking and the federal government partner with the local folks who know the place?
Fund it.
Fund it. All right. So when you say that,
put my tax dollars to work on something I want to see. That's kind of it. But that's been a big problem, and that's why we have catastrophic fires. And you see now as everybody's been blamed in California for what's going on, but when it comes to the forest, there's so much federal land around here that we can't do anything about
without cooperation.
And the federal government is bad neighbors. They don't take care of their part. It's us all at danger. But we can do little parts like this, do something to kind of enhance the land, make it better, have understanding of the foods and medicine that are out here that can be used. And there's a lot of them here. It's like we were talking about teas and things this morning, and what we could use to help things out, and just, you know, how to make some of the medicines taste a little better.
Without sugar, right?
Yeah, without using sugar. So, just things like that, um, and other things that can be grown here, you know, this is a good place. You can grow, you can grow a lot of food here,
Yeah.
and then things like that to help. But we need places that we can take our time and do some work so that we can help people to understand what needs to be done in other places. A lot of times, you know, we can clear things right now, but spend more time doing that than planting more things. You know, the earth will bring stuff back once it's amazing the seeds that are hidden under all of the brush and the, you know, duff from the pine trees, all the needles. There's all kinds of life underneath there that never sees the light of day. And so for me, that's why I get interested in these things.
And so, Edmund, for you, the learning the land part, and then also, it was interesting. Bill talked about funding and how there are all these strings, and I know we've talked about your relationship with funding. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Um, I don't know, I have no relationship with federal funding. I
And,
haven't
and for
like
reason, right?
I haven't, it's like it's a full. It seems like it's a full-time job just to find and apply and follow up and comply and all that. Um, so I've never been in that. Um, I've never been, into that department. So I never really got into that game. It's hard to build something that's long-term sustainable if you're relying on that. Is from my point of view. Um, sure, funding would be nice to do this, help out with this and that, because it costs resources to clear this and do this and that, and all the projects that I would like to do. But if it's, I can't rely on that. I don't feel like I can rely on that. And that's just from my experience. As an entrepreneur, and also in my mindset, it's no need to rely on something that I feel I can't control, and it's not. I mean, it's far from guaranteed. So I'm of the mindset that if we can find other groups or organizations that can offer that assistance on this or that project, then that's can be a more win-win thing. That's more realistic for me. So that's that. What was the other thing?
Well, I was just wondering if there's any connection between learning from the land and then as you're learning, like how do you, in other conversations, I feel like you've said things about it's hard to line up what you're learning and where you're headed with the requirements and the strings that are attached to the funding, but maybe I
Right. I mean, that's the funding. That's the funding part. I mean, I feel pretty closely aligned with what Uncle Bill just said about, just doing our part to clean out some areas, and then observe. As part of the learning the last 3 years is just, what's the weather like? What are the winters like? All the different seasons, the water. In the end of summer, which places are still kind of green and which places are completely dry. How is the water in the creek running? you know, every spring after every winter flood, the creek is different. The flow is different. There's tons and tons of material, rock and woody debris that's deposited and moved. So a lot of that, you know, that's just, you know, where can I stick a shovel in, and where's it all rock?
Yeah. A lot of
you
that
know,
here.
Where is there, you know, thistle? Where are there a lot of gopher holes? And all the animals and insects and everything else that come in different seasons. We're just part of that, and that's really neat to learn. And it's something to work with, or not against, for sure. So that's generally how I view it. It's very similar to what Uncle Bill just said. And I do want to grow food. And there's a lot of, you know, native knowledge about the foods and medicines that grow naturally here. And definitely want to incorporate that. And, you know, foods that we like to eat and nourish, and that'll do well in this climate and this soil as well. But, you know, I mean, everything's so connected, right? So it's, you know, learning, we're completely off grid here, so it's that's other challenges, but other, you know, benefits. We get water from a spring. The creek is running. There's some level of groundwater that's going. You know, just on that side, there's a lot of education opportunities available. Flora and fauna, food, animals, habitats. You know, if the tribe would be interested, I would love to do a creek restoration. Especially, I know there's a lot to harvest, and you mentioned there's an abundance of things you can harvest already. And then there's, you know, parts of the areas there's blackberry.
Lots of blackberries.
But then there's, you know, you clear this and that, something else will take its place. I know I talked to Jasmine, I think, before about something about beavers.
Oh, yeah.
We had someone from the Forest Service, right? From the first
Fish and Wildlife.
Fish and Wildlife. Talk about the beaver program. But I think those are all possibilities. You know, I love to do a burn in the meadow. We do have some star thistle on the other side over there.
Yeah.
And it's growing because we haven't sprayed it. The previous owners, they would spray. But, you know, I prefer not to spray it. So
Sounds
we can
like
just burn it.
Sounds like a good restoration activity for
Well, yeah.
a group we bring.
You know, it's that if you can do something here, and you create a system of getting rid of the star thistle without the chemicals,
Yeah.
you know, that, you know, a couple things on that. Part of it is getting more water in the meadows. Then the star thistle doesn't grow so well.
So then you have creek work that's related to that, right? Just to slow the water.
Let it kind of flood and get all of the water out in this, you know, get more water out past the bank of the creek, you know. This is pretty good here because it's not deep.
Not
Like
inside,
some areas, you go down the road a few miles, and if you walk up the creeks there, they're 5-6 feet below the
bank.
The meadow.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way that any water can, except an extremely high water. So therefore the water keeps running on through, and there's nothing stored in the meadows. And that's something I feel like that everyone needs to start looking at. People talk about it a lot, but there's not much going on, even, and I bring up the Forest Service and the federal government, is that they have all this land that, we can't go out and just say, hey, let's go fix this.
Yeah.
And if they're not willing, then, I think talking with Park Service, Forest Service for a lot of years, and they are changing, attitudes are changing. They got new young people that have a better understanding, and a lot of those that were just set in their ways where you couldn't really talk to them and discuss things in any way possible. It was always just, oh, we can't do it that way. So there's been a lot of change there. And so that's one thing about this, it's private land. So I think it would, for me, you could have the opportunity to do little small projects, and as a demonstration maybe is what can be done, and and then how do you maintain it after you get it to a certain place?
Yep.
It's a continual effort.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, when I was talking about doing the permaculture and the education related, then I don't want to plant a farm that's selling at the farmer's market. But I do want to do like a demonstration garden. And same with the larger projects in terms of taking care of the land, same thing. We'd be more than open to host demonstration projects of that. But to actually make any actual, long-term improvements, I mean, it has to be like repeated, right? It's not. I mean, if anything with the creek, we got maybe, I don't know, a mile of creek, but it keeps going, and it came from somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's, it's part of national forest land and some private owners, right, as well. So it's, we put beavers there, they're gonna move.
Well, and here they
right?
get washed out if you don't make the improvements upstream.
Right. And if you want to kind of raise the, raise the water levels, it's not just one spot, right? If you want to slow down the water, you can't just have a break here and then it speeds up again.
Yeah.
And that kind of defeats the purpose. Because all the water, I mean, all the animals, everything's connected, so it's not like...
you can't just wall them off right here.
Yeah.
Stay here.
Well, that's part of it too. This whole area, not just on Edmund's land here, but in all directions there's meadows here that's the beginning of our water systems. Where we get all our water from is right here. This all flows into the Merced River. And if it's dry up here because the meadows have no water to absorb or to hold, it dries out in the summertime. So everybody wants more water, but this is where we got to make the difference.
Yep.
Is in these meadow areas, and is that if we don't hold water here to release in the summer when it's dry, then we don't have any water downstream. So then they want to let the salmon and the smelt and everything die. But what they forgot about there too is the farmers downstream, when it dries up, they don't get no water either. You know, if they don't let it flow to the ocean, the downstream farmers don't get any water. You know, that's already happened in the Merced River. You know, people upstream taking more than their share, and then people down towards Stevenson and down that way. A couple years ago, the river dried up. There was no water there, so they didn't have any. They couldn't. They have a permit to pull water out of the river, but if there's no water, it's just dust, a little mud maybe. So they had to use groundwater, you know.
Which is, of
So,
course, all the same water, right?
Yeah, it's just, you know, when it doesn't flow, people downstream have problems also.
Yep.
You know, if you take all the water out of the river, you're done.
Yep. Well, so how about your backgrounds? Like Edmund, one of our viewers for the panel, was really curious about your background, and like, are there stories that you were told or taught that have influenced your relationship with this place?
No, I'm first generation Chinese American, first ones born here. So, you know, the parents came here for a better life. You know, a lot of that means doing a farm. That's kind of like the backwards. So it's more not much in the family history that would push me towards this, really. But like I mentioned earlier, it was very interesting to learn of the Chinese history out in this area, out in early California, and even this area specifically. I had no idea. It's still a lot of learning for me. I'm still trying to meet more people. But a lot of that was, from my knowledge, a lot of it's undocumented.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of oral history that's being, people from my generation are kind of going backwards to kind of recover. And it seems most people just want to move on, kind of assimilate and just do what they do. But I feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to kind of slow down, do the opposite, kind of slow down and look into that and do a little more learning on that, and maybe be part of the group that kind of teaches about that to the next generation. And I have young kids, so it's that's at the forefront of my mind, to pass that on, because the history of the people and the land are very important. So that's all. No, tell my parents-in-law that be a farmer, they wouldn't have let me marry their daughter.
Oh, no. Too late.
So, and that's true. So.
Oh, they should have seen Emmy here at the forest gathering.
Yeah.
Gosh, that smile.
It's great to share this. It's great to share this with the kids and the youth, because I guess their childhood is very different from my childhood, and very different from everyone. Your childhood, it's completely different now, where being outdoors like this is somehow turned into something very rare and like a luxury, right? That you kind of have to make the effort to do it or to go see it. Whereas, a couple generations ago, it was just life.
How about you, Bill?
Well, I grew up, we always gathered mushrooms, elderberries, gooseberries, sourberries, a lot of other things. So I knew what a lot of things were, and kind of lived off the land a lot, so have understanding of that, not as much as I would like to, but I know that, watching my kids and then their kids, is that they don't really have any idea about all that. They're eager to learn, but the opportunity to come out and just see it and do it is what's important. And it takes a lot of people willing to give of themselves, we've got into this time and age that we have to be paid for everything that we do, and that's good, but there's times that you just need to give from your heart, give that information, and because it's important to the future. We don't know what's going to happen in this country, especially when most of us don't have much money and a few have a lot. So we may have to live off the land. So it'd be good to know about it and what we can do, how we can survive, because that's kind of the whole thing, is about survival. It always was before, and it still is. You do certain things so that you have food, you have shelter, the things that you need, something to keep you warm in the winter, that's where the animals come in, help us with that. And so to know about all these things, or to have at least a good appreciation of it, is really important, for everyone. I know I look at things today, it's a lot different, when I was young, there was, we didn't have electricity, TV, all of those things. Had to walk out, I spent every day out walking around like this, so it was a lot different. Now it's everything that, some of it's good, some of it's just too much. People can't leave their phone alone, for any length of time. And they do have some good apps on there for identifying plants, but so it's all right to cheat once in a while. But and as we get older, sometimes we start forgetting things. Don't have that clear memory of, and you haven't done it in a long time. What I did till I was 11, 12 years old is a lot different than what's happened since then. It's always about trying to make a living or try to just get by, everything has changed. Everything has changed. Some of it's okay, some of it it's just hard. Some of the change, that's gone on, and that, we have a lot of our people talking about, the colonizers, yet they fall right in that mode. And too many of them living off the land or going back the way it was. So you know, and they start doing those things that has been brought here by others, you know. Sometimes it's sad, but there are things that we can do, and part of it is, you know, creating partnerships, you know, working with people you didn't even know before, and trying to come to some common ground on things, and um, you know, some way we could get people to really understand what's going on with the climate change, you know, that we need to change. So every little opportunity like this is an opportunity, you know. If we choose to do something about it. But you know, so I just enjoy coming over here and looking at everything as I go down the road, just getting here, and you know, it's a beautiful place. You know, I think a lot of our own people have missed out on the beauty of this area, just how powerful it is. They've gotten focused on Yosemite Valley like it's the only place anybody lived. But they had to come out this way. They come out of the valley this way, spend the winters down where there was less snow, or just move out of there for the wintertime. This is where the deer came, so they just follow them down the hill. You know, that's the whole thing that people forget about. And so so sometimes our own history is being changed by what people think or what they read that weren't written by our people, really. Somebody's observance of something. They're going, oh, wow, that's the way it is. And even the language sometimes is, everybody wants to learn the language, but they don't really want to take the time to, what's the word, enunciate it and to bring it out in the way that our old people did. They're all in a hurry. They talk so fast, I don't know what they're saying half the time, but everybody talks fast these days, so that's the way it is.
Well, so is there anything else either of you would like to share?
Yeah, I just hope to be able to continue with the friendship and be able to come over and just do a little bit now and then, or see how things are changing, what needs to be done, what could be done, and you know, just have I think if a few people took little sections of this whole area and could just work on an acre or two, see what they got out of that, might be a good thing. And to demonstrate what can be done on a small basis, and then how can that be done on a larger and larger basis. It's even possible at this stage. A better understanding of what cultural burning is, you know, and you know, prescribed burns is two different things. And then we have sometimes the Forest Service, they have industrial burning. They make those piles so high that it scorches the earth underneath,
Yeah.
where nothing grows for a long time. Instead of small piles here and there, they put one big one. It's wonder they haven't set the forest on fire again. So there's a lot of things to, I think a lot of the fires, at least here in California, are starting to, people are going, hey, we got to do something about this. So it's a lot of work, and it's kind of costs money, you know. Not everybody can, few years back, I could keep up with everything on my little piece of heaven there. Now it gets hard just to keep up with it. So as we get older, we need help. So hopefully our young people can remember that and help us out, so that somebody will be there to help them out when they need it. Each generation has to help each other the best they can. So
Passing values and knowledge through the generations, but also in your community, make it somehow make it easier and more accessible. You can't make someone learn something, but if they have that will, they want to put in the time, love to create that opportunity, make it easy, right? You don't have to, write a 10-page essay to apply for something and then get rejected at the end. And if they put in the effort to write that 10-page essay,
should have just went out and cleared the property.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of sitting in front of your computer, just do it.
There's a lot of it,
right?
yeah.
So,
there's a lot of I see a lot of the young people, they want to learn these things. It's kind of this, unless you can get a job doing it, it's pretty hard to do it, because you got your children, you got to feed and put clothes on them, and the rent's going up, those kind of things. People don't always get the weekend off anymore. Sometimes they're working every day just to get by. So it's kind of hard unless you can find some funding in some way. And it's just, we have to just kind of wait and see what happens here in the next few years.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen here in the next few years.
Huh.
Thank you both so much for taking the time to be interviewed. And folks can find more information about our forest gatherings on our Watershed Solutions Network website, watersolutionsnetwork.org. You've been listening to Watershed Solution Network's periodic interviews with interesting people. Check out our YouTube channel for a full list of our films and interviews.